Sorry, it's the only way I get it to record. Hi, my name is Leon Steffel, and I will be going over number 8. What ways did Aristotle's philosophy impact Alexander the Great in the world today? Really, to understand how it was really impacted by Aristotle's philosophy, we really need to understand the influence that we got to learn about them separately. Really, sorry if I'm nervous in the video. I'm just gonna, you know. In the research that I did, I found that they spent about 1 to 3 years together around when Alexander was about 13 years old. Aristotle was hired by his father, Alexander the Great's father, to come in and try and maybe teach Alexander the Great politics, ethics, because he didn't want him to end up like his father. He wanted his son to be more ethical. It seems to be in the research that I studied. I also covered in this video, I want to cover the history of what Aristotle thought of Alexander's conquests. They apparently wrote letters to each other a lot during Alexander's conquest of the world. And how he treated his fellow human beings. I wondered how maybe Aristotle felt Alexander treated some of the people that he was doing during his conquest, and how it's impacted present day Western philosophy. So yeah, try and do the best I can and get this all in one take. We need to do it separately. We need to learn about them separately before we can learn about what they learned together. Because from what I read is not a lot was really learned about what they taught each other, or let me just put it that way. Aristotle taught Alexander. It wasn't really written down, and if it was destroyed. But a lot of the things that Aristotle did teach Alexander, he took on his conquest with him, because Aristotle being the zoologist, biologist, all those, poet, Alexander went, and when he did his conquest, he would actually take zoologists, biologists with him to take specimens of all the land that he conquered, so things could be studied instead of being destroyed like other conquerors did in history afterwards. It seems like to me that that's what Aristotle instilled into Alexander, was the quest for knowledge. But yeah, Alexander was born in, Aristotle was born in 356 BC. He spent his teens years being tutored by Aristotle, like I went over earlier. His father, King Philip, like I said earlier, hired Aristotle at the age of when Alexander was 13, with the promise of reward of rebuilding his hometown of Stagira, if I said that right. Aristotle would teach Alexander everything from ethics and politics to zoology, biology, like I went over earlier. He would collect the specimens in the regions he would conquer. That's what I said earlier. The lack of sources leave much room for speculation. Like it said earlier, that we don't really know what went on in their lessons, because nothing was really written down about what they did, and it was such a short span of time, 1 to 3 years. How can you really influence someone in that amount of time, in my opinion? Aristotle, like I said, emphasized the importance of moderation and self-control and wisdom, which is something that King Philip did not do a lot of, Alexander's father, and that was one of the main reasons he hired Aristotle, was so, like I said earlier, he did not become his father. He wanted him to be a great leader and not make the same mistakes King Philip made. King Philip II, sorry. Aristotle emphasized the importance of moderation. He also taught Alexander about how to run the political war grounds, how to not really have, like we said earlier in philosophy class, not the loudest argument or the person who makes the last statement wins the argument. It's more to, be political. Listen, question, do a lot of questioning, which was characteristics of good leadership. Aristotle taught him moral character, taught to lead by example, and to be fair to his enemy. That was something he was instilled, which apparently Alexander did in the beginning, but as you can imagine, owning and landing, or conquering so much land, you have to become a little bit more brutal with think. Uh, da, 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 da. Political grounds. Taught him to be fair to his enemy, which had, like I said, a huge impact on history today. They really had to build a lasting impact of the philosophy of this world, from Alexander wanting to save the arts, history, and science of the countries he conquered instead of just wiping everything off the face of the earth, like I said earlier. Let's see. The relationship between the philosopher has been idolized a lot in movies lately, from Netflix, everybody getting upset about the new Netflix thing. And I think in the 2000s, there was a Alexander the Great movie, and it was also, but they've kind of put their own spin on Alexander the Great and Western philosophy, present day. Sorry. Like I said, they only spent about 1 to 3 years together. The sources vary that I found. A lot of, like I said, the main reason he came to teach him was he wanted to be the person that, was behind the genius of Alexander the Great. He wanted to have his hometown rebuilt, which was promised to him if he did a really good job, which he did. The general consensus I got about Aristotle's teachings, we can't really assess again. Let's see, sorry. The student-teacher relationship between Alexander became, as did Alexander's image, as sort of this ultimate philosopher-conqueror. It's very difficult to say what actually is reality. I found out the Plutarch, or researched that, Greek philosophy is probably our fullest ancient source to the relationship between Aristotle and Alexander. I think I sourced that in the bibliography. As there are no surviving contemporary sources about Alexander's childhood, but Plutarch, I hope I'm saying that right, he writes about the events took place 400 years before his time. It was a lot of idolized fiction, to create a good story, as one say. When you're conquering a massive kingdom as wildly inconsistent with Aristotle's philosophy, there was the 2 short chapters in Plutarch discusses Aristotle and Alexander's in Alex 7 and Alex 8, Arian, the foliest source of the campaigns. But, really, let me see how much time I got, sorry. Okay, we're at 7 minutes. Yeah, I'm going to have to say that the biggest influences really were that he took many zoology with him. That's one of the biggest impacts I can think that Aristotle's philosophy had on him. Alexander the Great, instead of destroying society and conquering as he did many things, he saved poetry, he saved the arts of the people he was conquering. From what I had maybe understood, that Alexander the Great maybe later in life went on and didn't live the way Aristotle felt he should politically. And I believe Alexander the Great passed away before Aristotle did in the history, so they never really got to become a student-teacher relationship again because of just how it was. Alexander the Great was great. He was a very important man, and I don't think he would have survived as long as he did if he was not well-equipped by Aristotle's views of the political ring, being able to fight a good fight mentally against political opponents, the zoology, collecting the specimens. I just really think that Aristotle affected him. To things today. We wouldn't be able to study some of the plants and animals that we have today if it wasn't for Aristotle and trusting those ethics into Alexander the Great. But I think I'm up over my time, and hope to hear some questions if I get picked. All right, y'all have a good day.